Hey folks, welcome back to another Route to Adventure video. I am Brandon, and today I am wrapping up our Florida trip from back in November. Now we've gone to SeaWorld, we've been to other theme parks, we've swam with sharks, we've had a ton of fun. But today is my part of the vacation, I guess, my favorite part. What I was looking forward to the most was visiting the Kennedy Space Center. Now, we visited there about 9 years ago or so, and I thought it was kind of a waste of time. The space shuttle program had just ended a few years before, and you didn't really hear a whole lot about space in the news, so I just didn't understand what they were going to be doing with the Kennedy Space Center. And boy was I wrong, because there was so much to see, and there's so much going on in the space world nowadays with SpaceX and all kinds of things going on. So there's a huge use for this facility, so I was just an ignorant fool. But I really enjoyed going there, and I want to bring that to you guys, and I hope that even if maybe you're not the biggest space geek out there, that maybe you'll want to go if you're in the area, or maybe if you really like it, you'll plan a specific trip to go there. I mean, obviously, like we did, you can, plan other things around it, but at least take one day. It's well worth your time to go to the Kennedy Space Center. So, anyway, let's get into that video. Is it any surprise that it rained? By this point, I wasn't. It rained every single day. However, I was optimistic that today was going to be a good day. And it wouldn't matter because most of the attractions at Kennedy Space Center are indoors. But I knew it was going to be a good day. We just had to get through a few hours in the morning and everything would be okay. Well, it's another rainy Florida day, but it should only be for the morning. This is our last day in Florida. Probably for a good reason, because it hasn't been the best trip due to weather, illnesses, but we're gonna finish off strong at the Kennedy Space Center. This stuff's gonna blow out of here. We're gonna have a great day. So let's go check out this space place. Once you get through the gate, you're going to see the rocket garden. That's your first, exhibit to see. Unfortunately, we didn't spend a whole lot of time out there because it was raining. We quickly made our way into the gateway building over here. And inside of this building seems to be the future of space. There's different capsules in there that you can go check out, and this really cool kind of tight habitat that is an example of what could be used on the moon or maybe on Mars one day. But you get to tour the little cramped spaces and check out what it would be like to live in one of these, which to me doesn't look like a whole lot of fun, because weight is everything when you're going to space, and everything's got to be tiny and cramped and lightweight. So I don't know. Good luck to those heading off to space in the future. 9 years is a long time. This place has changed a lot. We're only in the first building. Yeah, it had been 9 years since we visited Kennedy Space Center for the first time, and of course a lot's going to change in that time frame, but some of these new exhibits are pretty cool. This one here, we're trying to start a rocket, and you just have to press the buttons and be right on time in order for it to actually fire. I think we got to do it one time, but I never did get that one on film because it was quite difficult. You had to push that button right at the right time, and if it worked, the engine would completely fire. If not, it would kind of do what it's doing here and get you excited and then fizzle out. I guess we'll never get a job with the space program. So we're getting on that bus tour that takes us over to another part of the complex, where we can see the rocket that took the boys to the moon up close and personal. It's my favorite. Well, I think it's my favorite part. Maybe it's not. Maybe Atlanta's my favorite part. I don't even know. Either way, let's go to the other building. You know, even after visiting the second time, I'm still not sure what's my favorite part. I do love the Saturn V rocket, which is where we're going right now. You have to board a bus to get over to that other building. But, you know, I don't know. Atlantis is pretty cool too, but I'm not sure. I still don't know. Like any good attraction, you have to wait behind a closed door as they build anticipation for you to come face to face with the Saturn V rocket. So we had time to goof around before the doors finally opened and we were allowed inside.
So we're in the Welcome Center and we go through another little video. The doors open and we should see a Saturn V rocket. That's the way I remember it anyway. We'll see.
And I remembered completely wrong. We were not met by a rocket, we were met by a countdown clock instead, because I had forgotten all about the Saturn V rocket launch experience. This room features the actual consoles used for the first crewed Saturn V mission, which was Apollo 8. The entire room shakes and you get the full experience of what it would actually be like to be at mission control during this launch. The consoles, they light up different consoles, you hear different voices, and it's I want to see a rocket launch. Obviously you're never going to get this close, but this makes me want to come back here and experience one for myself, even though it'd be from a couple miles away.
So I had forgotten about the movie part of it. I didn't forget the movie, I just forgot what order it was in. But the experience is cool to get off the bus, go through the actual rocket launch, and then come in and see the rocket itself. That was way cool. It's still an amazing piece of equipment. Even though Artemis is surpassing it now to go to the moon again and to Mars, but it's still an impressive piece of equipment. It's way cool. If you haven't been here, you gotta check it out. Even if you don't like space, this is cool to see.
Here is all 363 feet of Saturn V rocket exploded out into each section for your viewing pleasure. It's awesome.
So I just walked past the, I don't know, third stage, or maybe it's the first stage. I'm not sure which order they do it in, but very tail end where most of the propellant is in. Now I'm into the middle section of the rocket. You can see the engines of the second stage. It's now in space pushing that first main capsule forward. The engineering that goes into this is amazing. It's amazing we can still do this today. Doing this in 1969 with the technology they had, it's even crazier to think. It's impressive.
Now this part of the complex has a lot of early space history for the United States, like this van that would haul the astronauts out to the platforms for launch, and it's quite dated, but still there's a lot of history in this back of this van right here. Inside this room there's a ton of space suits and different logs and from log books from different missions and things like that. There's moon rock samples. There's so much in this one little room that it's amazing. You could spend probably an hour in there just reading every little sign and checking out every single piece of history. It's I'm geeking out here, but I think this place is really cool.
So this is Alan Shepard's actual space-worn astronaut uniform.
This one was used when they were driving the lunar rover, so this was covered with space dust, actually. So it's filthy down on the feet all the way up, and it was made flexible so they could actually drive. So that's really cool that even any of these in here, the moon rocks, the Apollo 13 Jim Lovell uniform, all of these in here, space worn, is amazing to see that they're still in this good a condition, and even after being in the harshest harshest conditions ever. Here you can actually see scorch marks on the Apollo 14 capsule from re-entry. You ever seen those videos of the astronauts driving around on the moon? It's one of these. As an off-roader, I would love to be able to say that I off-roaded somewhere other than Earth. That won't happen for me, but for these guys it did. Pioneers in extraterrestrial off-road. Oh, the places we'd go. If only they would let me. Although I'm not too sure about these tires. I'm not sure they'd hold up to where I want to go. We're gonna go touch a moon rock. This is one of a few artifacts. This is actual moon rock material. So I am touching the surface of the moon in that little piece right there. So if you're ever here, you got to take advantage of it. And make sure you touch the moon. Well, after exhausting all the exhibits at the Saturn V complex, decided to get back on the bus and head back over to the main complex, where we're going to see another special exhibit. Here is one of the most famous landmarks at Kennedy Space Center, the Vehicle Assembly Building. Built in 1966 to assemble the Apollo Saturn V vehicle, it is the tallest single-story building in the world at 526 feet. It's been used for all the space shuttle programs and continues into the Artemis program today. So we've gone from the dawn of space travel, rockets, things like that. Now we're going into what I'm going to refer to as kind of the middle age of space travel. We're going to go check out Space Shuttle Atlantis. I say it's the middle section because now we're back to rockets with the Artemis program, SpaceX doing their things with the Heavy Falcon rockets. So we've kind of gone back full circle to rockets again. So my childhood was mostly spent by checking out, watching space shuttles. I lived through that period of time. So, to me, this is kind of the coolest exhibit. It obviously wouldn't have the same impact as it would when the first time I came here, but it's still an excellent exhibit, and I can't wait to get back in there and check it out. What I'm hoping for now is I have a goal to see all the space shuttles, and obviously we've tragically lost two of those. One when I was a kid, actually watching on TV in school. But they actually have those parts on display, so in a way I'm going to get to see Columbia and Challenger in this building, and that's really why one of the main reasons I want to come back here. So can't wait to get in there and go check it out. Now, prior to actually seeing the Atlantis like we are in this shot here, there is a video that they won't let you film, obviously, that kind of tells the story of the space shuttle, and everything leading up to this point tells you the story of how the space shuttles came around. But the first time I saw this, it blew me away. The doors open and you're face to face with a space shuttle, and like I said, I grew up with this. This was my childhood, and to see this, it's so cool to see them up close and in person, and to see the materials that they're made out of, and I don't know. I geek out, I guess, for some of this stuff, but And just to see it displayed the way they have it, opened up and the Canada arm stretched out across the room and tipped on its side, so you get a pretty good view of inside and out of the entire orbiter. So I think they do a really good job here. And you get close enough that you can actually see the tiles and the numbers on the tiles. It's so cool. And you have a fun way to get down to the bottom floor.
Alright, so Atlantis. I'm actually standing under Atlantis right now. Right now, I'm going into this exhibit over here that's called Forever Remembered, which is where we should see the Challenger and the Columbia wreckage pieces that they have on display. So we'll check those out right now.
Space travel is dangerous, and unfortunately, lives are lost sometimes, and this hallway represents 2 shuttles that did not come home. And the artifacts left here are from the crew members that unfortunately lost their lives doing something that they thought was worth doing. And I think it's very cool to see this stuff on display and help keep these folks' memories alive. And they, even today, to this day, they inspire people that want to still be an astronaut, still explore space, because it's still worth it. And that to me speaks volumes. And because of that, their memory will continue to go on. Here we see what remains of Challenger and Columbia. Part of me wasn't even sure I really wanted to show this in the video, but I think it's important. And I love this section here of the Challenger with the flag on it. Our country has represented mankind in space for a long time, and then, you know, unfortunate how this one turned out. But I really think it's important to show this just because I want people to go see it. It's very interesting, even though it is a tragedy. Columbia's windshield here is quite haunting to me, because you know that this was the last thing that they were looking through as they were trying to figure out what was wrong with their glider upon re-entry. So to me, it is a little bit disturbing, but an important memory nonetheless. Yeah, so I don't really want to end the video on a sad note, but again, that was part of the reason I went there this time, because that exhibit, the Challenger Columbia exhibit, and the astronauts' personal items weren't there the first time I visited. It actually was introduced like 2 years later or something like that. It was something. So I was really excited to go back and see it. I don't know what it is. There's something in the caverns of my brain that hold a special place for the Challenger and any of those folks that made the ultimate sacrifice by going into space. And hopefully we never see that happen again, but unfortunately that is just the reality that, sometimes you have a dangerous job and you're really going to know what you're getting into to go for it, which I am very sure they explain to every single person that signs up for one of these things. But overall, again, I absolutely recommend anybody to go to Kennedy Space Center. There's so many things to see and learn there, and unfortunately, it's hard to cram into one day. There's still, even this trip, we still missed one other building. We got there when it opened, and we were there until it closed. So you really, it's only about a day and a half's worth of stuff, I think. Depending on how much time you want to spend doing, reading each thing, but just checking out the artifacts, seeing what's there, all that history there. It's it's really cool. So, you know, hopefully it's not just me that thinks it's cool. I hope y'all go there and enjoy it too. So anyway, that wraps up Florida. I am so glad you tuned in. And we've got some interesting stuff coming up with Ohana. I've been doing quite a bit of work as far as getting this off-road ready. So yeah, if you're a Bronco fan, come on back here soon. I will have some new build videos for you to check out. But until we meet again, please have a safe, adventurous week.